Hello, and thank you for watching The Righteous Kitchen, a cooking and baking blog found at www.therighteouskitchen.blogspot.com. Today I'm going to show you how I make salted caramel. And it's important on this recipe that you have everything in place. So I have my water and sugar, butter, flaked sea salt. And then I want to mention this heavy whipping cream. I have put that in the microwave for about a minute just to take the chill off of it. Then I have my mason jars that I'm going to store the caramel in. All right, so we're going to go to the stove. I'm going to go to the stove, not the store. We prefer to make everything homemade here. Okay, so I have a heavy bottomed pot. And I've got that over medium-high heat. So all I'm going to do is put in my sugar and the water. And I'm just going to let that sugar melt. And then I want to bring it up to a boil. And it's going to boil for several minutes, probably 8 minutes, and get a really nice amber color. So there's really not anything that you need to do at this point. It's just sugar and water in a heavy bottomed saucepan. So that'll just come to a boil. We don't have to do anything really to it, just when it starts changing color, it'll change pretty quickly. So we just want to make sure that we don't scorch it. We don't want it getting too dark. Probably about the color, actually, of that copper pan. I usually like to say about the color of a beer bottle, or that copper pan looks about right too. Just don't get it dark. Once it starts getting the color on it, it's going to go really quick. So I am just going to let this do its thing and turn off the camera for a few minutes, and then I'll come back when it starts getting that nice amber color. Okay, I see a couple of little areas where there's a tiny bit of sugar crystal sticking to the side of the pan. So I'm going to take a brush with some water, and I'm just going to wipe that down. Because we don't want any crystals forming and getting our sugar crystallized, our caramel sauce. We don't want it to get crystallized. Other than that, I haven't stirred it at all, and that really does keep the crystals from forming on the side of your pan. If you just let it go and do its thing, a medium-high, no stirring, you're not going to have any problems. So, like I said, there's just a tiny bit of crystallization, so we just soaked our pastry brush in some water and just went to the side of the bowl right above the crystals and gave it a quick little wipe. And so now that issue has been dealt with. So we'll check in about another 2 minutes. It's coming along really nicely. Okay, it's starting to change and get darker now. So this is the point you really want to keep your eye on it. And I'm going to get my gloves on, because I'll be whisking in this pan, and it's hot. So now I am going to take the whisk and just kind of get under these bubbles and kind of give me an idea of what color we're at. And I'm going to let it go a little bit more. Now being careful when I look at it that I'm not splashing anything to the side of the bowl, because like I said, we don't want any sugar crystals. Right now our edges of the bowl look really good. Our sides of the bowl, they don't have any crystals forming. So we're in good shape. See how it's turning into that nice pretty amber color? Just gonna let it go just a touch more. Now I don't like mine on the really dark side. That's where it starts to get bitter. Some people do prefer that. If you're one of those, then just, you know, but just be, the darker it gets, the more bitter it becomes. So I'm going to turn that off now. I'll let you see the color. Very pretty. All right. So I'm going to pour this heavy whipping cream, and it's liable to foam. That's okay. That's to be expected. Get that off of the burner. Okay. Now you can get in here and just stir it together. And then get that butter in there. So we have, hang on. It's hard to put the butter with your glove on. Get that butter and don't let it splash on you. Very hot. So we're just going to whisk this together. And then you can bring it back to the heat now. And just whisk it till we get all that butter incorporated. Now my tip on this is warming the cream makes it easier to get this mixed up. If you put cold cream in here, it's a shock to the very hot sugar mixture, and then you're gonna get lumps. But when you just take the chill out of the cream, like I said, there's that 1.5 cups, and I just took the chill off by putting it in the microwave for 1 minute. And we had a really good foam too, so that helped everything to come together. But just make sure you take it off the heat. The burner was still a little hot. And maybe if you're not used to that foam, you could even use a bigger pan, because that could be intimidating. Because this sugar gets very hot. It can burn you. So if you're not used to it foaming up, I would say get in. And this is a double recipe. So if you're going to do a double recipe, you might want to use a full-sized Dutch oven. All right, so this is all mixed up. And this is very hot. So I want to carefully pour it into these 2 containers. Let me get my other glove here. See if you can see that. Okay. So carefully. This is a double recipe. So that's quite a bit of caramel. Now, this is salted caramel. This is my daughter's recipe. She made it salted caramel, and I really like that addition. You just stir in For this I use about 1 teaspoon of the flaked sea salt, but I don't want to put it in right now because the caramel is too hot. What I'm going to do is let this cool down probably half an hour, and then I'll come in and pour the salt on top, and then take a butter knife and just kind of give it one gentle swirl. Okay, so I'll come back and do that in about a half an hour. These jars of caramel have been cooling, and so I didn't want to put the flaked sea salt in while they were hot because it would have just melted. So what I like to do is just pour it, and then I take the knife and just swirl it. Just give it one swirl. I just kind of poke it down there and then bring it back up. And then that's all I do. I don't want to mix it. I like the little flakes of salt in there. All right, so here we go again. Pour it. I put the knife down right through the middle of it. Maybe take it down 1 or 2 times. That's it. No stirring, just give it a little splash with the knife there. And that is done. I'll continue to let it cool a little bit more before I put the lids on them. I want these to cool completely down to room temperature before I put the lids. But that is it. My daughter taught me how to make this. Isn't it great when you can learn from your adult children? But she taught me how to make this caramel sauce, and then I really liked the addition of the flaked sea salt. It just makes it a little more gourmet. So we've been making this for probably 7 years, maybe longer, and I don't think I've ever really bought any caramel sauce since then. It's just a pretty easy recipe, and I've got 2 jars of homemade caramel sauce now that we're going to enjoy. So I'll come back later after these have cooled. I do have 2 apple crostadas in the oven, and I'll plate that up with a scoop of ice cream and then this caramel sauce poured over the top. So we'll be back later. All right, I say let's go ahead and plate this up. All right. Look at that flaky crust. There we go. Let's see if we can see the bottom of the, that's a nice crust. You're going to want to eat that because it's nice and flaky. Okay? Let's get some ice cream over here. And this is that no churn vanilla ice cream. There is a video on my YouTube channel for all these recipes. The ice cream, the pie, and the caramel sauce. All these are on my YouTube, The Righteous Kitchen. So please look for those videos and share them with your friends and help me out, why don't you? Give it a like, give it a share, and please subscribe. Here it is. Caramel apple crostada with homemade ice cream and homemade caramel sauce. And I will come over there and get you a close-up picture of that. because I know you're going to want to see that. There it is.